The power rule is the one rule that everyone likes. Once you see this video, you'll understand how this rule works. But on the other side, a poll was conducted on students that knew about this rule, and the poll asked them to derive why this rule worked, and to no one's surprise, only 5% of the total students that knew about this rule knew how to use it, but they couldn't understand why did it work. So 5% of the total students knew why this rule works, but 95% didn't know. Now you'll say, why does it matter for me even to understand why this rule works? I just need to know how to do the calculations and how to arrive to a correct answer. Well, no, actually. The thing is, if you begin memorizing how different rules work without understanding how they work, you'll begin to get overwhelmed. And a couple months later, you'll forget that this thing even exists. And you'll start feeling that you are learning so much stuff, and meanwhile, you're actually not even learning about 10 new concepts. So understanding how a rule works, that will organize your mind in a way and make you feel that I'm actually learning and I'm not just memorizing. And this whole thing does make sense. And I don't need to pressure my mind to learn stuff where it all just makes sense. I'll begin by explaining how this rule works. So the basic idea, and I'll describe this using an example. Let's say that we want to differentiate this function. We have a variable to the power of a number. In this case, we're allowed to use the power rule. And the power rule goes like this. You bring the power down. So 4 is the power. You bring it down. You multiply all of the function, x to the power of 4, by the power. And then you subtract 1 unit from the power. So this will yield 4 times 2x to the power of 3. This is the power rule. So one other example would be 5 times x to the power of 5. We'll bring 5 down times the function and the power minus 1, which would give me, and 5 times 5 is 25 times x to the power of 4, because 5 minus 1 is 4. So in general, if we have a function of the type ax to the power of b, we bring b down times the function itself and b minus 1. But why does this work? In explaining why does this work, we'll revisit the definition of the derivative. The derivative is the limit as delta x approaches 0 of f of x naught plus delta x minus f of x naught all over delta x. Well, let's differentiate y equals x using this formula. In this case, y prime will be going to equal to the limit as delta x approaches 0 of f of x naught plus delta x, means to just plug in x naught plus delta x in place of x. So this is equal to x naught plus delta x minus f of x naught is just x naught over delta x. And this is going to be equal to x naught minus x naught will cancel out, and delta x over delta x will cancel out. So the result of that will be 1. And let's take the derivative of 2 times x squared. Y prime will be equal to the limit as delta x approaches 0 of 2 times x naught plus delta x to the power of 2 minus 2 times x naught to the power of 2 all over delta x. We can simplify. This is equal to the limit as delta x of 2 times x naught to the power of 2 plus 2 times x naught plus x naught times delta x plus delta x to the power of 2 minus 2 times x naught to the power of 2 all over delta x. Again, we can simplify more. 2 times x naught to the power of 2 plus 2 times this expression will be 4 times x naught times delta x plus 2 times delta x all over delta x. And we'll begin simplifying. 2 times x naught to the power of 2 and minus 2 times x naught to the power of 2 cancel out. This gives us the limit as delta x approaches 0 of 4 x naught times delta x plus 2 delta x to the power of 2 over delta x. We'll divide the numerator and the denominator by delta x. This gives us the limit as delta x approaches 0 of 4 x naught plus 2 delta x. And delta x is approaching 0, so we have to substitute delta x with 0. So 4 x naught plus 2 times 0. This is equal to 4 x naught. So we're seeing a trend here. When y was x, the result became 1. It's as if we brought the power down, multiplied by the function itself, and the power, we subtracted 1 from it. So this equals to 1 times x to the power of 0, which is 1. So 1 times 1 is equal to 1. And in the case of where the function was 2 times x to the power of 2, this function, we got 4x. It's as if we brought the power down, so 2 times the function itself, and the power minus 1. So 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to 4 times x to the power of 2 minus 1 is 1. And this is how the power rule works.